Hi, my name is Pam Nelson, and this is Weekly Wake Up. On this week's Weekly Wake Up, I'll be using one or two blankets. They could be towels, of course, and the floor with a mat or just a soft carpet. It could even be out on the grass. It will be a nice revolving pose to release the hips and back and just give a stretch in the spine, softening the abdomen. So I'm going to come down onto the mat and I'll show from a few different angles as best as I can. So I'm taking one blanket or towel and folded it into a fairly small square. Coming down onto the mat, just staying a few moments. You don't have to go as quickly as I'm showing. So just to be short videos, but you could take a few moments to, let the back settle, the abdomen soften, the diaphragm release. They're just attached at the bottom ribs to the front and back. Even bringing the hands to the lower ribs. And feeling the breath, feeling how the organs release back to the spine. And letting the eyes soften, the throat, the corners of the mouth. The eardrums, behind the ears. From here, then I'm going to take this blanket to the outer hip, bringing the arms out to the sides. Just move over a little bit so I can extend both arms, and bringing the knees up towards the chest. Making sure the abdomen stays soft when you bring the thighs towards the chest. If you bring the thighs and you really press the abdomen out and harden, you can feel it in the face and throat, that hardness to the organs. So really allow the organs to stay soft as you bring the legs towards the chest. And then from here, I'm going to bring the legs to the side that the blanket's on. And you want to almost let the blanket lift the hip up off the floor. So the hip's a little bit higher, and it's up on that blanket. I'm going to show from another angle, and I'm placing this other blanket here that's long folded in half in case you're working with, shoulder issues or you find the shoulder lifting up hurts the shoulder. When you come down, you can add a blanket or two for support for the opposite arm and the leg. So I'm bringing the legs up. I have the blanket to the outer hip. I'm turning. You can see the hips lift. They're up on that outer hips up on the blanket. And because this arm here would be floating otherwise, if that is painful to you, doesn't feel very comfortable, take a blanket or so and keep it under the arm, so that it gives some support for the arm and shoulder. Try and bring the top knee in line with the bottom, the feet in line. Squeeze the inner legs a little bit together. Soften the abdomen and really revolve to stretch through the back. Again, the lower abdomen moves towards the spine, so the organs move back towards the spine. As much as you can, keep the head centered. And then we can release back down, readjust as you need, and then we'll repeat that to the other side. Okay. So I'm bringing the blanket to the opposite hip. Again, if you needed the blanket for the arm, you bring that long blanket under the arm and extend the arms. Really feel the skin of the upper back slide down. Okay, so we don't want it all bunched up, the shoulders up to the ears. We want to release the skin from the upper back down towards the hips. Abdomen stays soft as we bring the legs towards the chest. Diaphragm right spreading to the sides. And there's still a lift from the base of the sternum up. Pressing the arms down, feel the shoulder blades move into the back more, and then release to the floor. With the exhalation, the legs coming up and over. Okay. There's that little bit of a lift. That shoulder, if it's floating and feels too much on your neck or shoulder, right, you're using the blankets to support. Over time, if you're able to let the arm hang a little bit, gravity will help to stretch in that collarbone area, the shoulder. Really move the shoulder blades in. Soften the abdomen. keeping the legs together and as even as we can. So we don't want this top leg to go back if we can. This outer hip moves to the outer knee. The inner knee back to the inner groin, softening at the inner groin. Eyes, throat soft. And then we can release. Bring the feet to the floor, lift the hips, readjust. Stay a few breaths, and you can always repeat. And it's good to repeat because the second time would probably feel a lot different than the first time. We've kind of stretched, you have the memory in the body. So let's actually do that together. Second side, second time. We come down. And you can always adjust this height of the blanket. If you felt this fold was too much, you could have started with it a little bit lower. So the legs still come up, soften the abdomen, and then the knees coming up and over. So not quite as high. There's always some options, of course, for what is good for you. Really spread, not just the front, but the back, that back, upper back to the back of the hand. Knees up and over. Stay 4 or 5 breaths. Feel the spread through the lower back, around the kidneys, the spine, so the skin, you can almost feel it spreading. And then we'll release, and we'll repeat to the other side. So I'll just move the blanket to the other side. The arms extending out, abdomen soft, bringing the legs up towards the chest, and exhaling, coming up and over. It's almost like, coming up over a curve to get those hips up so you're on the side of the hip. Okay? And we really want to move this top hip away from the waist, so we don't just let it fall in and bunch. We want that top hip, you can see, to move away from the waist. Top knee in line with the bottom as best you can, and how this chest opens, the shoulder blade moves in, and then we can release back. And of course, you could have supported that shoulder. We come back, realign. You could bring the blanket if you'd like to the abdomen, extend the legs one at a time. Centering yourself on the mat, and then letting the arms and legs release. And you can stay in this Shavasana for as long as you'd like. Just feeling the release in the hips and back, quietness to the brain, the eyes, and following your breath. Thank you so much for joining me.